Welcome to another episode of Growing E-commerce. I'm your host, Mike Ryan, and with me today is
Chris.
just Chris.
Yeah, man.
That's
I
our
roll
rolling.
with Chris.
That's our rolling thing now, huh?
Yes, man. It's. I always say it's a pleasure being with you. Actually, it's more than that. I feel honored. Man. Just the other day, I'm not kidding, man. I'm talking with a lot of clients of us, and it's fascinating how many of our clients
All right,
don't
let's hear it.
just no. Look, give me that now. Don't just know you. They are in awe. You know, when the name Mike Ryan drops, it's like, yeah, I know him. Is he here? Can I talk to him? It's fun, man. It's really fun. It's an honor. Like,
Completely ridiculous, but I'll allow it.
wait, give me that. But and
I'll
it
give you that.
comes from the bottom of my heart.
I know,
And
mate,
it's
I
true,
know.
man. You do a fantastic job. Really,
I appreciate
we're
it.
super glad having you.
I appreciate it. I'm just sharing the knowledge that I get here and that from the conversations that we have in here. So that's all it is.
That's great. Let's have a good episode.
Now that I'm blushing, let's kick it off with.
You want to do another intro?
No, I'm good. Let's kick it off with. I can't survive another one of those. Let's kick it off with a topic that is going to be coming up more and more in the year ahead.
Yes.
And that is ads in AI overviews and ads in AI mode. AIO and AIM. I don't know what to call it.
AI has to be in there in order to be a good product.
Yeah. So this is, here in Europe, AI mode debuted a couple of weeks ago at the time of airing, and
have you? I mean, you found it now, right? It was live in. Okay.
It took, they announced it, and it took me probably another week before it rolled out in my account. Have you seen it?
I've seen it, but it was on and off. It's interesting. Yeah.
Spotty.
I think a couple of weeks ago they launched it in, what was it, 50 countries, 50 languages? I don't know. It was a huge rollout.
Yeah, exactly. I think both of them are now in over 200 markets.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And basically every language you could wish for, more or less, is supported. So yeah, it's getting pretty big. And now comes monetizing that. Sorry, what do you want to say?
No, because it's becoming big, and you have been covering this a lot. I have been covering this a lot. The big question is, okay, they have these great products now. When and how does the money train come in? What's the monetization strategy?
Yeah,
we both talked about it. Rather sooner than later, there will be ads embedded in some way, shape, or form, and we can talk about that right now, right? It has happened.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are some details that we can share here. It's actually a lot of things are not known yet, or not and can't be known, but. I mean, sort of to kick it off, there are these two surfaces, AI overviews, which of course are the auto-generated summaries, the blah blah that appear in a lot of search words. It's funny because like Google has this Venn diagram, and they have a disclaimer that it's not proportionate, but they basically show there's all their search queries, and then there are this subset of search queries where there's no one right answer, or where they're very long, detailed queries, and this is what will trigger an AI overview to appear on. And in my experience, it appears on 99%.
Yes, for the easiest questions.
Yeah, anything. Also, what pisses me off, by the way, is that I've gotten very lazy with my typing on my smartphone, because especially when I'm Googling, because I don't need to be. Like they figure out my worst typos.
They know you.
And I can type the words in any which order. It doesn't matter. And they'll sort it out. That was the magic of the Google search engine result page, which I think that experience peaked a couple years ago. And now sometimes instead of straightening out my typos for me, they'll serve me an AI overview that's trying to make sense of the nonsense I typed in.
It's hurting.
Yeah.
It's hurting. By the way, they have to work on that. It's not good.
It's not good. This is a tangent, but I find it to me they're really over delivering the AI overviews.
Yes.
I do come to Google search for Google search results still.
Yes.
So
yes.
And then the other surface, of course, is AI mode. Which is much more like their version of ChatGPT.
Yeah. By the way, going strong, right? Over 100 million active users.
Yeah,
already.
It's
probably more.
Yeah, and they'll be pushing it. They're pushing it really on the main homepage and
Yes.
everywhere. They're
Yes,
pushing it
yeah.
hard. Yeah.
All right. So these are the two flagship Gemini-powered products. I would say directly embedded now in the search result page.
Exactly.
And what's going on with ads now?
Well, ads can serve adjacent to these, to the AI content.
Yes.
So, for example, it'll spit out an AI overview, and ads can appear above or below, and that's already happening in every market and every
Yes.
language. That's
Yes.
done. And then ads can also appear adjacent to AI mode, to
Yes.
the AI content of
Mhm.
AI mode.
Mhm.
And then what's really the next step of this is that ads will start to appear inside of the AI content.
Yes.
And that's going to be the big thing. So, right now, the ads in AI mode and within the AI content, this is limited to the US, to English, and it's limited to mobile and desktop.
Mhm.
I mean, that's most of the traffic.
Yeah,
But
anyway, yeah.
yeah, but so it's in an experimental phase through Q4 2025.
Yeah.
We'll have ads inside of AI overviews by the end of the year in other markets, maybe even by the time this episode airs, who knows?
Mhm.
And we'll see how long it takes with the AI mode stuff. But in the next 6 months, let's say.
And man, it's so disruptive and dynamic times. And by the way, I love it because I think although there are so many untackled questions. For instance, down the line, how can I make sure that if there's this new shopping assistant, when we talk about AI mode, it will become a shopping assistant at some point of time.
For sure.
How can I make sure that I get shown? What can I do to be favored by the shopping assistant? What about the ad rank, right? I mean, there are so many questions, and I love these dynamic times because I feel like that we are really on this topic all over the place. Again, spearheaded by you. We will talk about that for a long time now, and great insights will pop up here.
Yeah.
And I think it might be a threat because it's unknown.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of chances for retailers who know their stuff. I think it's a big thing.
I think so too. I mean, we talked about in a previous episode about this intermediate phase and this curve that will happen with maybe traffic to websites declining and AI facilitated purchases
Yes.
increasing, and we don't know how sharp those curves will be. But I mean, in the first place, I think what we talked about in the past too is that like Google has chosen not to expose AI overviews on e-commerce queries that much, and that's something that's totally in their control and that they can pace. But AI mode is not in their control because it depends on how the user will use
That's
it,
the point.
and they face pressure from other platforms who are going aggressively on this e-commerce shopping assistant thing. So they're going to be forced to do this.
Forced at some point of time. And I think the big thing we talked the other day about it, as of now, you don't have any clue. If, let's say, the AI mode serves, I don't know, ad inventory of, let's say, PMAX.
Yeah.
You don't know if the PMAX ad triggered by AI mode works any differently compared to...
Yeah.
So I think Google is, just to finish my point, Mike,
Sure.
I think they just don't know, Google, how this will play out, how this works. But there's certain pressure on them, so they have to try it out.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing it smartly most of the time. But it will be so interesting, right? Is the different type of search behavior, which certainly will occur for the end user of Google using AI mode, there will be different type of search queries, and how will the ads perform there? For me, it's the biggest question, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious on that. And we have you will find this out, man, together with our teams.
Absolutely. And I mean, we have to be permitted by Google to find this out. That's the step.
That's the thing.
Like, to talk about the status quo here. I mean, Google's statements about how the performance is and stuff like that, it is very Wall Street oriented, to be honest. Like, you can jump into the FAQ and it feels like it's not written for an advertiser. It feels like it's written for...
See, the CFO had his hands on it.
Yeah, like someone who's looking for any... Like, there are questions in there Like
The click rate stuff?
exactly. Will this decline? Will this have a negative impact on the amount of ads being shown?
Mhm.
Will this have a negative impact on the click-through rate of ads? And so on. Like these are because people want it because that's
Of
Google's
course,
revenue stream.
super legit question.
Yeah, it's a very legitimate question, both for shareholders to ask, is it what's going to happen to your main revenue stream, and also for advertisers who have a business dependency on these
Yeah, of
channels.
course.
They want to know these things too. And the answers are very fluffy, not a lot of substance in them.
Fluffy is you're very kind. You're very kind.
How would you characterize it, Chris?
And it's not the right time to
Okay.
talk about that. But they're fluffy.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's not about the shareholders only. I mean, I understand, but it's about the online retailers, right? I want to know what's going on there.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, the online retailer can't even control if I'm shown now in AI mode, right?
No, neither nor. Like you cannot target these properties and say, I want to appear here. And you also can't opt out if you don't want to appear here.
Yeah.
So if you are running, and another thing about this, I talked about Power Pack on a recent monologue. We've talked about it. I think we've covered Power Pack, but Google has sales slides where it says the key to winning AI search is the Power
Pack.
And it's completely misleading, actually, because you can appear in these, and you will appear in these properties with standard shopping campaigns and standard search campaigns with broad match. And a part of the Power Pack demand gen does not serve on these properties at all.
Which will change, I assume.
I probably somehow, but it's right now very misleading to say. Actually, maybe that's another topic. But it's I don't know if demand gen will because it doesn't tackle search network. But but at any rate, it's extremely misleading. Some of these sales slides. The sales slides are also very confident. They're saying like the ability to match intent has never been higher. And I actually think it's a very challenging moment for Google.
Of course.
These queries are new. These behaviors are new.
They will become paragraphs.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not just hard for a retailer to keyword bid on something like that. It's hard for their algorithms that they don't have historical performance data for this.
No doubt about that.
It's all long tail.
And it's all new.
Yeah.
Because the search behavior will change. Because one thing is for sure, I think Google implicitly or explicitly educated the user, right? I know how to search for a product.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not a natural language-based search query. For instance, I'm an ambitious tennis player and I want a tennis shoe for indoor between 100 and 200 euros. If you put that in Google, you get shitty results. Yeah. This will change now, I assume.
Yeah.
But these search queries will be new to Google as well.
Yeah, I mean, long term, it's a demographic dream because people will volunteer maybe more about themselves and what they're in market for in an explicit way.
It's an online, I don't know, Beratungsgespräch. Help me out on your...
like a consultant.
Consultant,
a shopping
I think down the line, it will be good for us. For the Google end user, it will be good.
Yeah.
The question is, what about the online retailer? How to deal with that?
Yeah.
And how can I make sure that these... Because the matching of intent versus product, this is in Google's hands more or less. But the question is, okay, how can I make sure that I can push that?
Yeah.
As an online retailer, what can and should I do?
I mean,
one of the biggest questions.
We talked about it last episode. We're talking about first party data, and we'll never tire of it. But this is, I mean, what you need to think of here is that if someone is creating imagine that someone is creating one of these very detailed queries that Google likes to showcase with a lot of very specific context, very specific features and stuff. Basically, they're doing all the work. Normally, someone might land on your website still really in browsing mode, and they'd use your product filters and your site taxonomy, your categories to find their way around. And by the way, they might upsell and buy some other things along their way. But now they'll theoretically do all of this qualification through the prompt and either arrive on a website pre-qualified or potentially in future do a checkout in the chat, whatever. But what I want to say is, in order for you to appear, because you need to be relevant to the query and to the AI content in these ads and also organically. So you need as much information density as possible.
Yes.
Because if if they're asking about, I don't know, vegan alternative this specification, that, etc. If Google doesn't know that from your
Yep.
feed, if they can't learn about that from your
You're
landing page,
cooked. You're cooked.
you're not visible.
You're cooked.
The person who makes this information available. So you need to have really excellent landing pages. You need to have excellent structured data that probably lives with your organic team. The landing pages probably live with your e-commerce team. You need to have a really detailed feed with as many attributes as possible. That leaves with your paid team.
Yes.
So all these teams need to work together to tackle this.
And it's a hell of a challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. And I think it's more important than ever to, when you create content, to walk in the shoe of the client. Because the type of search behavior, it will change. Like I said, it will be this online consultancy type of search query. And I know for a fact that a lot of online retailers don't have that type of content ready. In a structured way, first and foremost.
The crazy thing, Chris, is that this is what we should have been doing all along.
All along.
This
I know.
Is a good customer experience.
I know.
But now, the funny thing is because, we just relied that consumers would do this labor for
Navigate
us.
Exactly.
They'd land on your website. They would do this labor for us. But when people offboard that labor to AI, either if you haven't done it, because the AI is either you're going to be visible,
neutral to you.
Exactly, or not. And the question is, it's sad, but we need to wait for machine brains to start optimizing towards human brains.
A, and B, of course, we need to wait to get more details from Google directly.
Yeah, and just to bring, maybe we've gone off topic here a bit, but I mean, just to recap that, there's no opt-in or opt-out. There's no segmented reporting.
You don't know exactly.
Google,
and it's happening. The ads are either adjacent or directly embedded in AIOs, and
it's already happening. And Google will not tell us what the impact is on really advertising volume. I actually think it's neutral positive, or click-through rate. I think it's probably negative, but
in the beginning,
you might, we'll see how it goes. But the short answer is that right now we don't know anything.
We don't know anything. We know it's happening. Yeah. We know what potential leverages the online retailer has, and we will be all over the place and on this thing with all the force we have, because this is the future of search, right? It's happening now. The future is now. I love it, but there are challenges ahead of us.
Yes, for sure.
Talking about, we partially talked about this. The pressure. By the way, our CEO was invited to Mountain View and had some great conversations with high-level Google reps. And what we feel is like, yes, I mean, Google is the dominating force. We talked about that. 90% of global search queries goes through Google.
Yeah.
But I think they are very, very aware about what OpenAI and Perplexity are doing. That's a feeling we have, and rightfully so. OpenAI, talking about that, right? There has been now, from my perspective, a massive move.
For sure.
Which will dictate somehow what the next move on Google's side will be. Yeah. Mike, shed some light on it, please.
Yeah. I mean, OpenAI has done a couple things. They've rolled out their in-chat checkout, and Shopify is integrated. Etsy is integrated. These were the first partners, kind of flagship partners. I think Shopify makes a lot of sense to be in there. I think Etsy, I'm not so sure. That's usually the kind of things where people maybe want to, I think people buy really personal, I don't know, maybe they want to use AI for that. But yeah. And meanwhile, they're launching effectively an app store, and, Walmart has signed on, Target has signed on. I think Target's going to have an app. It's crazy. These are huge players. Yeah.
By the way, before we talk about that move, isn't it interesting that Target and Walmart are jumping on that boat? Because as far as I see it, this will eat into the marketplace business model, especially of Walmart, right?
Yeah.
What's the thought process here on Walmart's side?
It's a great question. I mean, I definitely see it long term as a threat, because all of these marketplaces, they serve as an infinite digital shelf where there's a lot of comparison possibilities, a lot of selection, and now that comparison happens in someone else's place.
Exactly, yeah.
And the checkout happens somewhere else. I mean, that transaction data is hugely important. So I think they definitely need to come to an understanding about sharing transaction data. They won't want to lose that data. but it's, I guess, forward thinking of Walmart, or maybe they just view, I don't know how they view it. If they view the volume as insignificant, I don't know where they assess that waterline risk. But they must see, in this kind of game theory way or something, there must be more advantages of cooperating right now than competing.
Another way to think about it is if it's really seen as a threat, and I mean, Walmart is, by the way, they are doing a fantastic job. Hats off, great company, and I think their marketplace strategy pays off tremendously. But what I think they might also be thinking about, okay, this is a big threat. Let's take this threat by the horns. Let's be part of this threat to really understand what's going on there. It's certainly fascinating. I mean, back to OpenAI. That means, Mark, if I understood you correctly, you can now buy directly in the app. We have been talking about that this move is coming. It's, I think, even earlier than expected. But you can now buy products directly in the app.
Exactly. Right now, it's still pretty primitive from an e-commerce standpoint. Like, I think what they need, personally, I've said this all along, I think that there needs to be a standalone specialized e-commerce shopping app, or they can have their, I think it is sort of a tab, they can have a tabbed experience available. But you need e-commerce is special, and it's not wrong what people have been doing on their websites. It's not wrong what people have been doing on marketplaces or in places like Google Shopping. I think all of that rich media and stuff like that needs to be integrated. And but for right now, it's pretty primitive, and you can just buy, as far as I understand, one product. So that's not great from a shopping standpoint. It's also not great as you want to have larger basket values than that.
But a first step.
It's a first step.
I think most important, a sign what's about happening right now. It's really, again, crazy times.
Yeah.
Honestly, Mike, I mean, we have been in the business now for 15 years, let's say. I think, man, probably the most dynamic times I've ever been. I mean, I can remember when the PLAs got launched. This was huge. I can remember when DSAs were launched. Huge. But this feels now more fundamental. I don't know.
I think it's the biggest thing since smartphones, and definitely on par with that, and probably be bigger. Yeah.
All right, man. Great insights here. I mean, one last thing. Talking about Walmart, you have some interesting data here, right?
Yeah. One more thing. If we talk about Walmart and OpenAI, saw some pretty big figures from the last complete month, September, that OpenAI accounted for 32% of Walmart's referral traffic.
Holy shit!
So that means any website sending traffic to Amazon, it's coming in with that little UTM parameter equals ChatGPT, and this is, I think it was probably estimated using SimilarWeb or however, but 32% of referral traffic. It sounds very impressive, and it's up from 21% in August.
This is massive.
That's big growth.
However, Walmart is so big, right? What's the overall share of this traffic?
Well, you have to understand.
It's so funny. This is statistics 101, right? How to frame data. So 1/3 of traffic sent from other websites to Walmart is coming through ChatGPT.
Exactly. And before I proceed, I want to give
breaking news here.
Yeah, exactly. I want to give a shout out to Joe from Marketplace Pulse for writing us up, and he's a friend of the podcast. I mentioned Joe a lot, but
he's a great guy.
Yeah, he brought this to my attention, actually.
But so is it breaking news, or is it a nothing burger?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Because Walmart, as you said, Walmart is huge. Their brand power is massive. They have a huge amount of direct traffic. That's people typing Walmart.com. They have a huge amount of paid ads. Those are their two biggest sources. So referral traffic is only 4% of their total traffic. Okay. And that means this boils down to roughly 1% or something of their total volume.
Okay. Got it. But, so just to put it in perspective, huh?
I mean, on the other hand, not everyone is Walmart. And for other retailers, other marketplaces, referral traffic might be a lot more. They probably don't have that massive pool of direct traffic that you associate with a mega brand. They probably do have a lot of paid ads.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
But it's something.
And something to look at, yeah. And a massive move. a massive move.
Yeah.
I think because it's a sign to come, and yeah, we'll figure it out. I mean, what do you think? I mean, they took the decision now. Next step will probably be that they enrich this feature, right? I mean, they will probably you can buy more than one product
Oh,
pretty
for
soon. So
sure. Oh, for sure. They've got to add on a lot, and I could imagine an end state. What I and and by the way, I want to just say Google is not because Google knows these e-commerce basics, and they have much more robust features that could potentially step in here. But OpenAI is learning some kind of basic lessons, but they will learn them. They're going to invest a lot here. I think there could be an end state where you are buying multiple products from multiple retailers. It's a universal cart. Um, I am not such a believer that this will be fully agentic, that it will be end-to-end automated with, you know, AI actually doing the shopping for you. A lot of energy and investment is being made here, but I'm a skeptic. But I do think that a shopping assistant use case makes a lot.
for sure.
But what I would want is really to have this be a one-stop shop where, if I'm on Amazon, I'm building a cart of multiple items from multiple sellers.
Mhm.
There will be brands, there will be sellers. It's
Mhm.
all mixed together, and I click checkout.
Mhm.
And I think that's where this must-head is: building up your cart and checking out, and that would
And
be
it will be
huge.
so interesting when this feature really becomes, I don't know, rolled out in a way that it really has an impact on shopping behavior. The big question then will be, does this do anything to the market share of Google? Do we see shifts here? I mean, I'm really curious. But yeah, big move by OpenAI, ChatGPT, and then let's see where this ends up. Dynamic, crazy times.
Absolutely.
Mike, time flies.
It
I think
does.
it's time for the outro.
All right. Are you
No, I'm not ready. I'm not in. There will be a point of time I will do it, but not today. And man, the level of your outro is just. Go ahead, man.
I've been doing the podcast for a few years, so I have a few of these under my belt.
It became your second nature, man. And I probably can do it, on a semantic basis, maybe almost as charmingly as you. But the voice, man.
We got
What can I do about my voice? I can't change it.
all right.
Yours is just better, Mike.
All right. So this has been another episode of Growing E-commerce. Thank you for listening. This podcast is brought to you. Now I'm off my game, man.
Man.
This podcast is brought to you by Smarter E-commerce. You can learn more at smarter-ecommerce.com. Please, if you enjoyed the podcast, recommend us to a friend, a coworker. Give us a 5-star review on a podcast platform. And yeah, you really threw me off my game here, Chris. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.